What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about I'll Find You. So I have another great opportunity to check out a movie just a little bit early this time around. I'll Find You, a period piece romance, or at least that's all I thought this movie was going into it, that comes out later this week on February 25th in a limited theater run, as well as on VOD, where you can rent and purchase it online. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off by saying that I actually really enjoyed this film. I found it to be a good time, and it's one of those movies that if I hadn't gotten a screener for it, I probably wouldn't have checked it out. I probably would have seen the poster and thought, maybe not for me, but I'm so happy that I did get to check out this movie. So a big thanks to those over at Gravitas Ventures for sending me an early screener for this movie to be able to talk to you guys about it. So going into this movie, I knew absolutely nothing, and now having seen the film and during the film, I realized this must be based on a true story. And after actually doing a little bit of research afterwards, it is in fact based on a true story. Now, I didn't deep dive, I didn't go into really serious research to kind of compare what this movie presented versus what actually happened to the real individuals in their real life, but it is based on a true story, and I did want to mention that part here, which I found to be a very interesting thing and led to a pretty tragic part of the story. This movie is directed by Martha Coolidge, who's directed a lot of TV as well as some movies in her earlier part of her career, and I gotta say, I think she directed a really great film here. Overall, the performances and the music and the whole feel and vibe and the story throughout, I thought was really consistent and strong, and by the end of it, I found myself really satisfied. Throughout, there was moments where I was feeling for the characters, there was moments where I was smiling and laughing. I do have some criticisms for sure, but overall, I did find this to be a really good period piece romance that takes a lot of different turns if you have no idea what the story is all about. And because of that, I don't want to tell you guys everything, but you know, I did see the trailer after this. It does touch on a lot of things that happen, and this is based on a true story, so it's one of those things where they're not necessarily hiding what happens. But you know, going into it, I thought again it was just a period piece romance film, and you know, on that level I was interested in checking out where it would go. And when it started off, it was about these two Polish musicians who met at a very young age, and they didn't really like each other too much at first, and over the course of time they kind of built this bond and this friendship and would end up falling in love. Our main character is Robert, and then you have Rachel as well, and it really centers on the two of them, and that's really where the strength of this film lies, is in the romance between these two characters and their chemistry. I have to give a lot of praise to Adelaide, Clemens, as well as Suter, who are the two actors who played our main two leads in this film. I thought they gave really compelling performances, and I really enjoyed their chemistry throughout, and yeah, they were very compelling throughout, and I really felt like they elevated the material. And overall, I did feel like the performances were strong. I felt like the pacing was strong. There were a couple moments where I found myself a little bit bored, but for the most part, I found it to be a very sweet tale that has some pretty serious elements, because this movie takes place during World War II, which I did not know going in, and I did not expect, based on the first portion of the film where they're really setting up the romance here, that this film was going to actually have the war be a part of the story. And unfortunately, Rachel Rubens, the person played by Adelaide Clemens, is actually, you know, a Jew and has to deal with everything that's going on with Germany. And you have these two lovers, one who's a Catholic, one who's a Jew, who are on the opposite side of this. The Catholic who's going to do everything in his power to find the person he loves, you know, hence the title, and then the Jew who has now been taken from everything that she loves. And of course, it's a tragic time, the Holocaust, all of that, Hitler, just disgusting. And so yeah, you know, it was pretty interesting to go into this movie having no knowledge of what this was about, having no knowledge about the fact that this was gonna take place during World War II, and then to start this movie and see this cute story unfolding with this nice couple, and you know, a very cute story that's starting to build, and ultimately it leads up into this very tragic time in their lives where they really had to fight for their relationship. And overall, I found that the film was really compelling. I really enjoyed the characters, and by the time the movie was over, I thought that's a really good period piece romance film that takes place during World War II. I think if you're into period piece films, if you're into romances of that time, if you're into World War II films, there's definitely a lot to enjoy here. The film's not perfect, but I did really enjoy it. And you know, outside of some pacing issues and maybe a couple moments where the lip syncing on a couple of individuals who were singing at times didn't 100% work, for the most part, I really found that this film was strong and it really kept my interest throughout. With that said, I can imagine that some individuals may be bored by this. If you're not into period piece films at all, then you're maybe not going to be into this story. story and what's going on and the pacing of the film. But overall, I really enjoyed the film. I found it to be a compelling story that definitely tugged on the heartstrings at times, and ultimately, more than anything, in a romance film, really got me into the characters. You know, I really felt for their romance. I was invested in their relationship, and it was interesting to see where it would go. There were a couple of characters that felt a little sidelined throughout that maybe could have had a little bit more fleshing out, and just some overall scenes that felt a little bit rushed from time to time. And I almost feel like this maybe would have done better as like a couple episode mini-series where they could have stretched out certain portions of the story. But overall, I did really enjoy it. I think Martha Coolidge really directed a really strong film here, and I hope that this movie does well for her and that more people get to check it out and talk about it on YouTube or wherever the hell they want to review it. Overall, I think this is a movie that more people should see, especially if you're into period piece films or romances. And this film also stars people like Connie Nielsen as well as Stellan Skarsgård, who I think give some of the better performances in the entire film. So that's going to be my thoughts on I'll Find You. A big thanks to you guys for watching. Depending on when you guys are watching this, the movie may or may not already be out, but I hope you guys get to check it out. And if you have already checked it out, please leave your thoughts down below. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.